Hello, Oscar. Grandpa here. Hope you're well. And it's hello from Grandpa. Hello from Moosey. You well, Moosey? I'm very well, thank you. And hello from Granny as well. Granny's out in the garden. And what a lovely day it was seeing you play with Annabelle on her second birthday, Oscar. You did really well. And I know you love her dearly. So we'll continue a little bit more of another read from the Silky Seal Pup. And if you remember, great Uncle Horace had suddenly given Zoe the baby seal to hold. And the seal cradled in Great Uncle Horace's arms, and then he held the seal out to Zoe. And Zoe scrambled up on the sofa, and Great Uncle Horace carefully placed the seal pup in her arms so she could hold her like a baby. And there's the picture. So sweet, isn't it? Zoe gasped as she cuddled the little seal. She was so soft and warm. As Zoe looked down at her, the pup gazed up with her big black eyes, her sweet black nose snuffling curiously. Can you snuffle with your nose, Oscar? I expect you can. She was absolutely beautiful. Before he left, Great Uncle Horace turned to Lucy. I'll see you at in the morning, he added mysteriously. Lucy walked him and Kiki to the door and waved them off. Meep hopped onto Zoe's shoulder. What's happening in the morning? Meep squeaked. I have no idea, Zoe whispered back. Great Uncle Horace was acting strangely, but she wasn't too worried. He was probably just planning his next adventure. Anyway, she had other things to think about, like the gorgeous Silky Seal Pup. So it's chapter 3. Look, the little seal's in a box. And the title to chapter 3 is The Scared Seal. Oh dear. Once Great Uncle Horace had left, Lucy popped her head round the living room door. We'll let the pup sleep here tonight until Lorna the seal keeper comes to work tomorrow and gets her enclosure ready, she told Zoe. Can you look after her while I make a bottle of milk? Zoe nodded eagerly. As soon as her mum went into the kitchen, she lowered her voice to a soft, friendly whisper. My name's Zoe, she told the pup, who was still cuddled up in her arms, and this is my best friend, Meep. I'm a grey mouse lemur, Meep chirped proudly. What's your name? The pup's eyes opened wide. She hesitated and gave a timid squeak. Star? That's such a pretty name, replied Zoe, smiling. Welcome to the rescue zoo, Star. Star squeaked again, very nervously. Zoe realised the poor little seal was trembling. No, there are no bad people here, she reassured Star. The horrible people who snatched you are far away now. Everyone at the rescue zoo cares about animals more than anything. Meep gave a warning squeak as he heard Lucy coming back from the kitchen. Zoe quickly stopped talking. Here we go, announced Lucy, walking in with a bottle. Do you want to give her the first feed, Zoe? Yes, please, said Zoe. She loved feeding baby animals. I expect you'd like to do that too, Oscar. I saw you feeding, was it a goat the other day? I can't remember. You were doing very well. Carefully Zoe moved Star so she was leaning against one arm and took the bottle with her free hand. As soon as she offered it to Star, the seal started to gulp hungrily. Is this normal milk from our fridge? Zoe asked. Lucy shook her head. It's special milk replacement, she explained. Seal milk is the creamiest in the world, much creamier than cow's or goat's milk. It's packed full of goodness for seal babies, to help them grow strong and stay nice and warm in the freezing cold conditions. But because this baby's mum isn't here to provide milk, we'll give her this instead. It's almost as good, although we have to make sure she drinks lots. In fact, we'll need to do nighttime feeding as well as day. I'll help, offered Zoe. She wouldn't mind getting up in the middle of the night to feed a gorgeous baby animal like this one. Star hiccuped as she finished the bottle and snuggled happily against Zoe's tummy. I think she enjoyed that, said Lucy, smiling. Now it's time for our dinner, Zoe. Pasta for us and seeds for Meep. They had dinner sitting on the sofa because Star was still nestled cosily against Zoe, and they didn't want to disturb her after her long journey. "We'll have to think of a name for the seal," Lucy said as they ate. "Do you have any ideas yet, Zoe? You're always so good at choosing names for our new arrivals." Meep giggled, and Zoe did her best to hide a smile. She picked the right names because the animals told her what they were called. "How about Star?" she suggested. "Star the seal. That's very pretty," said Lucy approvingly. After dinner, they all cuddled up together to watch a film about blue whales. After a few minutes, Zoe glanced down at Star to make sure the noise wasn't frightening her. But the little pup had fallen fast asleep, her tummy rising and falling gently. Suddenly Zoe found herself yawning. Look, there's Lucy and Zoe and Meep and the little baby seal sat on the sofa, aren't they? Oh, so sweet. "Let's watch the rest of the film tomorrow," suggested Lucy. "It looks like everyone needs a good night's sleep." "Why don't you and Meep go to bed? I'll set my alarm for midnight so I can give Star her next feed. I promise you can be in charge of her breakfast bottle." Zoe hugged her mum and gave Star a gentle good-night cuddle before heading upstairs. She brushed her teeth, put on her green frog-pattern pyjamas, then climbed into bed. I say, frog-pattern pyjamas. Would you like pyjamas with frogs all over them, Oscar? Not too sure about that. Meep snuggled up next to her, his tiny ears poking out from under the covers. "I like Star," he chattered. "Me too," Zoe whispered back. "And I think she likes us, Meep, even though she was so nervous to begin with." She kissed the top of Meep's soft little head and switched off her bedside lamp. "Good night, Meep. We'll have lots of fun showing Star around the zoo tomorrow." "Zoe, wake up!" Zoe blinked sleepily. She'd been having a funny dream about hippos until a gentle nibbling on her ear had woken her up. Her bedroom was still dark, with moonlight streaming through a gap in the curtains, but Meep was tugging urgently at her pyjama sleeve. "What time is it, Meep? What's wrong?" Zoe asked, rubbing her eyes and yawning. "It's still night time, Zoe," Meep told her, hopping up and down anxiously, "but I think Star is crying." "Oh, that's awful." Suddenly Zoe was wide awake. She listened and heard a faint whimpering from downstairs. Meep's clever ears could hear the smallest sounds. "Poor Star," she whispered, jumping out of bed. "Come on, Meep, but keep quiet so we don't wake Mum. If we're alone with Star, we can ask her what's wrong." Zoe pulled on her dressing gown and scooped Meep up into her arms. She crept onto the landing and tiptoed down the stairs, trying not to make them creak. The cottage was quiet, but as she pushed open the kitchen door, she heard the sad whimper again. "Star?" she asked softly, flicking on the light. "It's us, Zoe and Meep." Lucy had made Star a bed in a box full of cosy blankets, and the little seal was huddled inside it, shaking. Zoe rushed over and picked her up. Star snuggled her soft head against Zoe's shoulder, sniffling miserably. "What's wrong? Are you hungry?" Zoe asked, glancing at the clock on the microwave. "It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Didn't my mum feed you at midnight?" Star squeaked sadly. Zoe felt her heart melt as the shivering pup explained that Lucy had come to feed her. But then she'd left Star all by herself again, and the little seal was scared of the dark. Meep looked puzzled. His special eyes could see just as well at night as they could in bright daylight. But Zoe understood why the pup was frightened. Sometimes the dark was scary, especially if you're in a new place. "It's all right, I promise," she said soothingly. "We're in our lovely warm cottage. Meep and I are just upstairs, and so is my mum." Star stopped crying as Zoe cuddled her close. "That's better," Zoe said, smiling. "See, there's nothing to worry about. Let's pop you back in your cosy bed, and we'll see you in the morning." The seal pup let out another whimper, and Zoe saw tears in her beautiful dark eyes. "Oh, don't cry, Star," Zoe gasped. Zoe and Meep glanced at each other. "What shall we do?" Meep whispered. Zoe bit her lip worriedly. "We can't leave her here just like this, Meep. But we can't stay in the kitchen all night either." We'll have to take her to my bedroom." Star gave a happy squeak, and Meep clapped his tiny hands excitedly. "Shh!" Zoe smiled as she carried them upstairs. Back in her room, she tucked Star and Meep up together and was relieved to hear a happy sigh from the baby seal. Then she opened her curtains wide so that her room was bathed in bright moonlight. "There, it's hardly dark at all now," she whispered to Star. The little seal's eyes were already starting to close. Zoe slipped under the covers next to Star, and the little seal snuggled up to her, making the most adorable snuffly noises. As Zoe cuddled her, she wondered what her mum would say about Star sleeping in her bed. "I'm sure she won't mind just this once," Zoe thought, crossing her fingers tightly as she drifted off to sleep. Just read you a little bit of chapter 4. Chapter 4, The Mysterious Meeting. And look, there's Star fast asleep in Zoe's bed. When Zoe opened her eyes the next morning, something soft, silky and very warm was tickling her neck. The little seal was snuggled up on her pillow, snoring gently. Star didn't seem scared at all with Zoe and Meep to keep her company. But someone else hadn't slept so well. Meep was curled at the foot of the bed, looking sleepy and cross. "There was no room for me," he grumbled. "I was getting squished." Zoe bit her lip to stop herself from laughing. Meep was very funny when he was in a grumpy mood, and even cuter. "I'm sorry, Meep," she soothed, "but we had to help Star, remember?" Just then the door burst open. Lucy ran in, her face very pale. "Zoe, quick, Star's gone. She must have got out of a box," she gasped frantically. Then she spotted the furry bundle in Zoe's bed and gave a sigh of relief. "Oh, Zoe, you gave me such a fright." "Sorry, Mum," Zoe said, feeling her cheeks flush pink. "I heard her crying in the night, and she didn't seem to like being by herself." Zoe had to think carefully about what to say. She couldn't admit that Star had told her she was scared. "I thought she'd escaped. Really, Zoe, you know she can't sleep with you. You already share your bed with one furry creature," Lucy scolded. "Yes, and there's no room for another one," chattered Meep grumpily. Zoe tried hard not to giggle. "Sorry, Mum," she said again, "but she's going to her enclosure today, isn't she?" Lucy nodded. "Lorna rang up 5 minutes ago to say it was ready for her. I thought you could take Star over after breakfast." Zoe jumped out of bed and gave Lucy a hug. "I will." Then she noticed Lucy eyeing the bed warily and realised what her mum was thinking. "There are more animals in there, I promise," she giggled. And Lucy started laughing too. Well, there we are, Oscar. And Star's going to be taken to her enclosure today, so I wonder what happens. We'll hear more next time. So look, lots of love from me, Grandpa, and from Granny, of course, and from this little chap, Moosey, who's going to wish you bye-bye. Can you say bye-bye, Moosey? Yeah, bye-bye, bye-bye. Have a lovely day, Oscar, and we'll be seeing you again soon, I'm sure. Lots of love. Bye for now. Bye.